Hey Disney cruisers, and welcome back to the DCL community, where we are here to help you plan, prepare for, and get excited for your Disney cruise. You guys know me, I'm Rebecca, your host and admin of the DCL community. And today we are talking about a very special, very popular itinerary. And no, it's not the Bahamas and it's not the Caribbean. We are actually going over to Europe and doing the Norwegian Fjords sailings, which I am so excited to learn more about. I have never done this, so I cannot wait to hear a full review on your cruise. Megan, as people are coming in, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah. So my name is Megan Farwell. I am a travel agent with Waves and Wonder Travel. This was our 10th Disney cruise, so it's very exciting.
Officially platinum.
Yeah, we have 3 kids, ages 13, 10, and 6. They all 3 of them went on this cruise with us. We've been on all the ships. We started sailing in 2014. We've been hooked ever since. And DCL is like my favorite type of vacation. So if I get a choice, that's typically what I'm going to pick. And that's why I love planning it for other clients as well, too.
Yes, it is truly the best vacation. I know I'm
really
obviously, I'm very biased, but Megan,
Yeah.
I know your family sailed on other cruise lines. You've done all sorts of vacations, the parks too. So if you were trying to figure out what's the best vacation for my family, do we do, a cruise in Europe, or do we do Disneyland Paris, or maybe a little bit of both?
Yeah.
Definitely reach out to Megan. She can help you decide what the perfect vacation is going to be for your family, and help you on the planning process. And her planning services are actually free for you to utilize. So definitely reach out to her. That's the link to her page scrolling along the bottom of the screen. But let's go ahead and dive in. And of course, if you guys have questions, please let us know. We'll do our best to get to them as we're going through.
Yeah.
But let's start with why this cruise. There are so many cruises to take with Disney Cruise Line. So why this itinerary?
Yeah. So full disclosure, this was my 40th birthday. And I had already told my husband, like, I'm going to book a cruise, like, for my birthday. So we ended up getting this on the guaranteed restricted rate. It was like super last minute, like a month before we sailed. But this was like a bucket list destination for us. We've been to Europe several times, but we love the mountains. So if we're not going to do a Disney cruise, like, you're probably going to find us in the mountains somewhere else. Like, we've been to Yellowstone like 5 times. We've been to the Swiss Alps. We do mountains all the time. So this was like the best of both worlds for us. And when my son found out we were going to Norway, and he was like, so it's the mountains, but it's also a Disney cruise. And we're like, yeah. And he's like, that's like the best thing I could ever imagine. So we were super, super excited about it. It's kind of like a combination of, you have a lot of adventurous activities, but you still have the Disney magic when you get back on the ship.
Yeah.
It's perfect for nature lovers or those who just want to explore Europe, but you only unpack once. You don't have to worry about traveling around to different cities by yourself on trains or whatever. And if you want something different than just a standard beach vacation, which we love the beach, but this was just, it's like, you can see in that picture, it's almost unbelievable the way that it looks when you're there. So,
oh my gosh, it does. It looks like it's straight out of a Disney movie.
Yeah,
truly. Oh my gosh. And remind us, what ship were you sailing on?
This was the Fantasy. Every year Disney has one ship that goes over and does all the European sailings. So this year was the Fantasy, and it actually just finished its last cruise in Europe for the season, and now it's going to go to dry dock. So it's going to get a few renovations, a few enhancements, and that's how they do it a lot of times for the European itineraries. It is whatever ship needs a dry dock, that's the one they send over there, because then it's already there to go to the dock for dry dock. So
yes, good operational choice from Disney on that one. Oh, I love the Fantasy so much. So I'm glad that she got to experience her summer in Europe, and I'm glad you guys got to experience it too. And somebody's asking about the weather. How was the weather while you were there?
So we'll talk about it a little bit more. It wasn't great, but that's okay. It was still, it was still absolutely beautiful, the scenery and everything. So yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So yes, keep the questions coming. Transportation, somebody's asking about excursion. So I see all these. We will get to them as we go through. But let's talk about how you guys got there. You do not live in Europe, so you didn't have to fly
unfortunately not. So yeah, we flew. Well, we live in Indianapolis, so we flew from Indianapolis to JFK, and then from JFK to London. So our JFK flight left at like 10:30 p.m., I believe. It's about a 7-hour flight. So when you account for the time difference, we landed in London around 9:30 a.m. the next morning. So you're flying overnight, which is not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. We got lucky because we were sitting towards the back of the plane, and there happened to be like probably 12 to 15 empty rows behind us. So we got like poor man's first class on the way there. So we were able to move, and my oldest daughter got an entire row to herself. My youngest daughter and I sat on the aisle, and then she got 2 seats so she could lay down on those two seats and sleep. And then my husband and my son did the same thing. So we got to stretch out a little bit more than normal, which is really nice. That definitely doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it's very nice.
I was going to say, it's those little things, especially on those longer flights, even if it's just an open middle seat. Oh my gosh, so nice.
Yeah, I typically cannot sleep on flights overnight. Like, if you've never been to Europe before, almost every flight is a red eye. It's an overnight flight there, and I have the worst time sleeping. I think I'm just like, I'm so worried about if my kids are going to be able to sleep and how they're going to be the next morning that like, then I can't sleep. So, but it is what it is. It's worth it, I think, still. So, and then
the Southampton for me on that one, and I, being a parent, right, you're always going to be thinking about the kids. But I did on this most recent trip to Europe. For me, I got one of those crazy contraptions that like goes over the seat, and it has like an eye mask that kind of holds your head back.
Yes.
Did you get one?
So I had one. We actually just went to Europe this summer too. So I had one of those for when we went this summer, and then my husband had this neck pillow, and I tried it, and I was like, I really like this neck pillow too. So I had the thing that like strapped me to the seat and a new neck pillow. So I did sleep better this time than I ever had in the past. Yeah.
Even if it's like an hour or two, sometimes that alone feels like a win. I love that. Okay, sorry, keep going.
No, that's okay. So most people were going to fly into London, and the Southampton cruise port is about an hour and a half to 2 hours from London, south of London, just depending. If you take a car, it's a little bit faster. If you take a train, it generally takes a little bit longer. So your main transportation options, they have trains. You can leave directly from the airport, although you are going to have to transfer a couple times. You can do like a private car service. And then they also have what they call National Express, which is a shuttle bus service. I forgot to put one on here, but they do have a DCL shuttle too. So you can take DCL shuttle. I think it leaves from the airport. They have one location, and then they also have another location more like in central London that you can leave from, take the shuttle. But that's only on the morning of the cruise. So if you come into London a few days early, or like us, we decided we were going to spend the night in Southampton instead of London, the DCL shuttle was not an option for us. So we had originally thought we were going to take the train, but then we landed early. And so the National Express, like I said, is a big shuttle bus. You don't have to transfer like you would on a train. They take your luggage, put it underneath. It's just kind of a simpler option, especially if you haven't been to Europe before and you're not familiar like with the train system and everything. So when we landed early, we looked at the National Express website, and they had seats that had opened up for one of their shuttle buses. So we're like, okay, well, we'll do that. But we still had to wait like an hour and a half for this shuttle bus. It was kind of not a very well-run system. So they didn't check anybody's ticket when they got on the bus. So anybody could have gotten on the bus and taken it to Southampton. So I probably wouldn't recommend that to my clients or anybody else. So, I mean, what's nice is like I've been there and experienced it now. So I think I kind of have a good idea of like what would work best for a lot of people. So that was our experience there.
I was going to say, and that's one of the many, many perks of working with a travel advisor like yourself is you've been there, you've done that, you know what to expect. Like you can talk about, if you need car seats, you don't need car seats, right? Like you've got options, and that experience. Right. I mean, it's worth your weight in gold, especially when traveling internationally, especially traveling internationally with kids. Yeah. So, oh my gosh. And
if I had to do it all again, I would probably hire a private car service. Like it was definitely the most expensive, but I think it would have been 100% worth it because you were like, especially when you come in on an overnight flight, you've had almost no sleep. You know, you've got kids with you. Like I was trying to be, we'll call it thrifty instead of cheap. I was trying to be thrifty, but now I just wish I would have gotten a private car service because it would have been well worth it. So
yes, hindsight 2020, and
for sure.
now we know. Now we know. Love that.
Okay, so the Southampton cruise terminal was very nice. It kind of reminded me of like the Fort Lauderdale cruise terminal because it seemed basically new. We had an 11:30 port arrival time, boarding group 9. We arrived at like 11:35. We took a taxi from our hotel and we were on the ship by noon. So it was extremely streamlined. We didn't have to wait for like anything. The terminal was large, clean, plenty of seating, very well laid out. Like they had signs for everything in terms of like if you had arrived early for your port arrival time, they had lines to wait in, very clearly marked. They had the luggage drop off, very clearly marked. So super simple for boarding, exactly like boarding in any other location in terms of like Florida or whatever. So it was great.
That. Okay. And somebody's asking about the hotel that you stayed at.
So we stayed at the DoubleTree in Southampton because we had Hilton points. So we wanted to use our Hilton points.
Yeah, why not?
So it was okay. Again, hindsight is 2020. Now that I've had the experience, I probably wouldn't stay there again just because there's like a lot of hotels right pretty close to the cruise port, like within 5 minutes, I would say. Our hotel was like a 10-minute drive. And when we got to Southampton, there's like a little bus terminal where that National Express shuttle drops you off. And that part was not very clear. Again, this goes along with the National Express shuttle. It was raining for one thing. So it was like impossible to get an Uber or a taxi, which is kind of how we had planned to get to our hotel.
Yeah.
So eventually we got taxis, but it took a while. We were waiting in the rain. So that part was not ideal.
Yeah.
So I would stay closer to the cruise terminal if I was going to do it again. And that's what I would recommend other people to do as well. But our hotel was fine. It just wasn't very close to anything else really. So
yes, so good to know. And then Maria is asking if you book flights through Disney or if you book them on your own.
No. So I always book directly with the airline. If you ever have problems with your flight, if you're delayed or you're canceled or whatever, it's going to be so much easier to make changes if you've booked directly with the airline. So I wouldn't book with Disney just because if something happens, you're going to have to talk to Disney and then Disney's going to have to talk to the airline. So it's just kind of like a middleman that you don't need. So we flew Virgin Atlantic, so that it was fine. But I would always book directly with the airline.
So good to know. Okay, and what about your stateroom? Oh, I wish I was sleeping on a Disney cruise tonight, not at home.
I know. So we had booked we had 2 guaranteed restricted veranda staterooms because we were a family of 5. If you want to do the guaranteed restricted rate, you cannot do that for a family, or you can't get a room for 5. So we had to have 2 of us in one room and 3 of us in another room. Thankfully, they did assign us connecting staterooms. We were deck 10 aft. So we were kind of like outside or underneath the outside seating of cabanas. So if you've never been in cabanas before, they do have an area where you can walk outside and it's like a deck that you can sit outside. So we were underneath that deck. So we had an overhang above our veranda. And when we got these staterooms, I was a little worried about the noise because I had heard people say, like, if you're underneath cabanas, you can hear people moving their chairs in and out, or you can hear them cleaning sometimes. And we really didn't have any problem with that. We sleep with white noise machines, so that might have been part of it. But we really couldn't hear any noise from cabanas. So that was really nice. We were super close to the elevators, which was great. And so overall, I would be happy with these rooms. Again, we didn't have any problems with the rooms.
And can you just quickly touch on, I know you said you guys ended up connecting staterooms, doing the guarantee rate, but that's not always guaranteed, right?
Right. So when you book, you can just book a regular guaranteed, or you can book a guaranteed restricted. And either way, Disney is going to be assigning your stateroom. So in that case, you are not guaranteed. I keep saying guaranteed. They will not guarantee connecting staterooms, even if you book 2 staterooms as one family. So when you book them, they do like link them in the back end of their system. So they will try their best to give, when they see that you have 2 staterooms as a family, they will try their best to give you connecting, but it's not guaranteed. So that was a risk we were willing to take because we got such a good price. It was about half the cost of what it would have been. So
yes, good to know. And Annie is asking, when you book it that way, does that mean it's 2 separate reservations, or were you all able to be on the same reservation to do dinner and stuff together?
So every stateroom is going to have its own reservation number, but you can link them. As long as they're linked, you'll be seated together at dinner. So you don't have to worry about that. And that goes for any type of stateroom that you book, even guaranteed restricted. You can link the reservations and you will definitely be seated together at dinner.
Love that. And I second the white noise machine. As soon as I put that on at night, I got my little eye mask on, I am out cold.
Yep.
That's the best. Oh, so let's get into this itinerary.
Yeah, so it was a 7-night itinerary on the Fantasy, September 15th through the 22nd. So we had, our original itinerary was supposed to be a sea day, then a fjords viewing day, which is not a port, but they basically take the ship through some of the smaller fjords. So you just get like a really up close, great view of scenery and that type of thing. And then we had 3 ports of Olden, Alesund, and Stavanger, and then another CD at the end. So this is kind of like one of those things you see every once in a while. So there was a storm coming into England the day before we were supposed to set sail. So there was like a ton of wind on our embarkation day. So they had pushed our set sail time. Instead of 4 p.m., they were going to wait until 10 p.m. for us to leave port. So when they did that, they basically had to take away our fjords viewing day and just make it a sea day, because they no longer had time to go into the fjords and like drive around in the fjords basically. So they did change our itinerary just a little bit, but we didn't lose any actual ports or anything like that.
That's so good to know. And I know, especially this time of year, people will be so concerned about hurricane season, but storms can happen anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
At any time of the year. I mean, anywhere could flood, anywhere could have, a monsoon come through or a tornado hit. Well, maybe not a tornado because I don't know that much about science, but earthquakes, like great things happen, and Disney is always going to prioritize safety. Right. And in this case, do we push the cruise back by a couple hours and lose something? Yes, right. But you still have more time on board the ship, which is never a bad thing. Never a bad thing.
The itinerary before us actually was a British Isles. And since they had that storm that was basically out at sea for that week before us, they actually turned that British Isles into Norwegian Fjords also.
Wow.
There was a lot of people that were doing back-to-backs, and they ended up with 2 Norwegian Fjords cruises as their back-to-back, since they had changed the British Isles to the Norwegian Fjords. So
my God.
I would have been fine with it, but some people were not happy. But it does happen. I mean, like you said, you can have storms anywhere. And it was funny because when we booked this cruise, I told my husband, hey, we're not going to be in the Caribbean in September. We should be fine in terms of like storms or anything like that. Yeah. And then
meanwhile, Mother Nature was like, hold my beer. Right. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I know you said this was a bucket list for you. So let's get into these ports. And I'm so excited. I want to know everything.
So our first stop was Olden. So this is an extremely small port. There's only about 500 residents that live there year round. And the other nice thing, you'll see this kind of on some of the pictures I have, but all 3 of these ports, you pull up and you're basically at the city center. And Olden actually doesn't even really have a city center. It's that small. You can see the ship there. there's a few buildings right there beside the ship, and that's basically it. Like, it's tiny, which is amazing. I mean, the scenery is gorgeous. This was probably our favorite port. It was the most quaint. It was beautiful. So we chose to they have a skylift there called the Lowen Skylift. So it takes you up on this little cable car, and you go to this mountain that looks down over the port. So that's a picture from the skylift looking down onto the ship in port.
That's just amazing.
It's insane. And then we also did the Brickstall Glacier. So we booked both of these independently. Disney was actually sold out for both of these by the time we booked, because we booked so soon before the cruise. But it was I was very happy that we did, because number one, we saved a lot of money by booking them independently. It was about half the price of going with Disney. And it was so easy. Like, especially this port, you get off the ship and there's basically like a parking lot right in front of the ship. And that's where like all the shuttle buses pull up. They had like little tents set up for each tour operator where you would just go pick up your tickets. It was so easy. Even somebody that's never been to Europe before, I definitely think these ports you could book by yourself and not have a problem at all. So
that's awesome. And when you said that you booked independently, did you do those at the port, or did you book those ahead of time?
No, so I did book them in advance, but it was I just did them online beforehand.
Beautiful. Okay.
So the Brickstall Glacier, so the Lowen, let me back up. The Lowen Skylift, you just book a shuttle bus online. The shuttle bus picks you up right at the ship, takes you to the skylift. You do the skylift, the shuttle bus brings you back to the ship. And then the Brickstall Glacier we did separately. So that's a shuttle bus, takes you to the parking. And then you take these little, they call them troll cars. And that actually takes you the rest of the way to the glacier. So those like green John Deere looking things, those are 6-seater like little ATVs. And they give you a driver. You don't have to drive it yourself, thankfully. But they drive you the rest of the way to the glacier. And that was amazing. That was probably my favorite thing we did the entire trip, because you're basically driving up this little Norwegian mountain. You go past this enormous waterfall that comes down like directly beside you. I mean, it feels like you're in a fairy tale. It was amazing. And then that's us at the glacier. It was raining. But it was beautiful. Gosh. It was amazing.
So cool. And were you the only ship in port?
Yes. So that one there is only one spot in Olden, just because it's so small. So yeah.
Amazing. And then who did you book the excursion from?
So both of those were through, it's just called Olden Adventures. And I believe I think you get 10% off if you book. So since they were both they were separate excursions, but they were both through the same company, you get 10% off if you book more than one excursion. So we were, yeah. So, and it was, like I said, it was super organized. You just walk right off the ship. They had a little tent set up where you can pick up your tickets. And then the shuttle bus is just right next to the ship. So it was very easy to do everything.
And what currency did you have with you to pay for things?
So they take Norwegian kroner, but we did cashless for everything. Like, we just used our card. And it was very, we asked a lot of people before we went if we should take Norwegian currency, and they said no. Like, even these tiny little towns, almost everything is cashless. Wow. So I wouldn't worry. These are just more pictures from Olden. So again, this one in the top left, that's the view from the skylift. That's a view of the ship to the port. This is that waterfall. There's the bridge right in front of it. You drive across the bridge right there. And then
that looks like a postcard.
I know. And the other thing is, like I said, the weather was not great. So if you can imagine this in nice weather, this is rainy weather. If it was nice weather, it would have been like unbelievable.
God. Beautiful.
And then this one, I just thought it looked like the trolls from Frozen, because it does.
Yes.
Like, that's what it looks like. When you
That was my first thought. Yeah.
All the inspiration they got for the Frozen movie, because it was amazing.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much. Yes. As soon as I saw that the mossy green on that, I was like, Frozen, right there. Oh my
Okay.
gosh. Okay. So what about port number 2? It looks like maybe some better weather,
Yeah, this
maybe.
was a little bit better. We actually had the sun peek through a few times on this day. This was Alesund. So this is like a medium-sized port. You can see it's just got a lot more buildings and stuff. We were the only ship in port this day as well. So we did a little bit less this day. We did a city tour. They had these super cute little trains that, again, they would pull right up to the ship. We did not book this one in advance. They just had like a little booth set up outside the ship. So I just walked up, purchased tickets. I think we had to wait like 45 minutes. So we actually just walked into town for those 45 minutes when we were waiting for our train and walked back. It was like a 3-minute walk into town, into like the downtown area. Yeah, it was like that super adorable little train. They take you up. This city actually reminded me of San Francisco. It's very hilly. So they take you up on this kind of like mountain overlook. So you get great views there. And then they had a Disney photographer out in the city. So they took this picture of us. That's like that one's a Disney photographer out in the city. And then they just have these adorable little buildings. I mean, it's Europe. So like everywhere is adorable. Everywhere looks like a postcard. So
absolutely. And I knew this question was going to come up, and it's one that I struggle with too. So Julie, I'm right there with you. But I want to go on one of these, but I'm worried about not spending enough time in each city. Were you there for enough time to feel like you got to enjoy it? Or do you think you'd be better off doing a cruise and then exploring each city on its own after?
I think we were there to get a really good taste of it. So every day was probably like 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it was like a pretty long port day in each place. So we got off pretty early by like 8 a.m. every day. And then we stayed out almost, we tried to be back to the ship by like 4 because I don't want to push it any closer than that. Yeah. But we got quite a bit of time in each city. So awesome. I thought it was a really good taste of each place.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I know it's hard. You want to spend all this time in all these beautiful places, but that's one of the big perks of cruising. Oh my gosh, is that a ram?
It's a goat, yeah.
A goat? Oh my goodness.
Okay, so port number 3, this was Stavanger. This was the largest port. It was more like a small city for sure than the other two, but it was still super cute, still super quaint, even though it was definitely a city. We did a boat tour to the Norwegian Fjord area. So we booked this again separately before we got on the ship. This company, the name of it was Rodney. It's Rodne. And they're very well known. So like I said, it's just everything was so easy. Like we get off the ship, you walk about 3 minutes, towards the city, and then the boat, where we did the boat tour, it was just sitting right there in the port as well. So it couldn't have been easier to find. These are some pictures from that little boat tour. You go to this huge waterfall, and then so they have wild goats there apparently, and they all stop and throw apples to these goats to get them to come down to the boat. So the kids loved that, of course. It was so cute.
Oh, I love that too. I was going to say, I don't know if you throw an apple at me if I would come down, but if you throw like donuts or something, right. That might make
it definitely lure us down that way. Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's so fun. And I just feel like I should make a note here. I know that some people are, they're hesitant or they're scared about booking excursions not through Disney because they've had somebody in some place be like, oh, if you don't book through Disney, they'll leave you behind. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is, you can still plan things in advance. And like Megan's saying, these are reputable tour companies and tour operators. They want you to have a good experience. They're used to having cruisers there for a couple of hours. They know you've got to get back to the ship. Right. So it's just about working with Megan to say, okay, what are your priorities for the day? And let's get you back to the ship in plenty of time. Because we do non-Disney excursions all the time. No issues.
Yeah. And I would say especially that's one of the reasons I love this cruise so much as well. Like I said, the ship was so close to everything. So like it was like literally a 2 or 3 minute walk to anything, like any excursion you were going to do, to this boat tour we were going to do. Not all ports are like that. So like, I know if you go to one that's like Rome, for example, I think Rome's like the actual city of Rome is like an hour and a half from where they port. So that's kind of a different story. I might be a little bit more hesitant to book outside of Disney for that one, but for this one, it was so easy and everything was so close. So I would not worry about it for this specific itinerary.
Yeah, oh, I love that so much. And we have a question from Lainey. I hope I'm saying your name right. About excursions for toddlers.
Mm-hmm.
Any recommendations? Were there options? Do you think this is even a good itinerary for a family with toddlers?
So my youngest is 6. She's not a toddler anymore, but she's still pretty young. She was able to do all of these, obviously, and she loved it. I mean, I will say my kids are very used to like being out in nature and hiking and things like that. So if your toddler isn't as used to that, might be a little bit of, but most toddlers or any kids, if you take them on a walk, if you show them things that they've never seen before, like these goats, any toddler is going to love these goats.
Yes.
So I think there was lots of kids on this boat cruise. Going to the glacier, there was tons of kids. And on the little city tour bus we did in the middle port stop, there was lots of kids there too. So I think any of these would be toddler friendly.
Love that. Okay, so lots of good options. And what about the sea days?
Okay, so we ended up having 3 sea days. I listed out some of the stuff we did. I didn't even list out everything we did, obviously. Even with 3 sea days, we could not do everything. Disney had so many activities. It was like, honestly, I think it was probably even more. Like I said, this is our 10th cruise. I think it was honestly more than what I've seen on any other cruise before. It just seemed like more to me. They had so much trivia, game shows, karaoke. You would have loved it because on this Jack's Diaper Stash, they had 15 babies.
So many babies. Oh my God.
So they had to do 3 heats of the babies. And then the final too. So it was, I've never seen that many babies in Jack's Diaper Dash. It was
awesome. That's so good to, like, say, I think people are like, oh, I don't know if I should sail with my kids when they're that young, is that a good idea for a vacation? But as you guys can see, and Megan, you sailed with your kids when they were itty bitty. So take the vacation, parents. You deserve it. You deserve to get away.
And put your baby in the Jack's Diaper Dash so we can all watch them race across the atrium.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that so much.
So we did the Family Time game show. That's my son and my husband were picked to do the Family Time game show. They won, which was amazing.
That's awesome.
We played bingo. We won bingo for the first time ever. It was only $150, but hey, I'll take it. We've never won bingo before. My youngest daughter did Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. So there was so much to do. Like I said, we couldn't do, and we didn't even swim. So they had the pools open. The pools are heated, but we were doing so much, we didn't even bother trying to swim. So that's another thing you could do also.
Yeah, with so much to do in the ports and so much to do on board, you almost forget to sit down and just relax for a little bit because it's just there's so many things going on. And congratulations for 2 wins and 1 cruise.
I know. It was amazing. Yeah.
Incredible. And then they did Pirate Night and not Frozen Night?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So these are some of the differences between like a typical Caribbean cruise and what we had on ours. So the weather, obviously, it was chilly. It was about 60 degrees each day, which isn't terrible, but it was definitely like sweatshirt weather. And we did have rain. So it was kind of funny because all of our sea days were sunny and all of our port days were rainy. So it's kind of like the opposite of what you would want, but it was all right. It wasn't like a super heavy rain. It was kind of just like off and on, a little bit of a drizzle. So we just had rain jackets and did okay for the most part. The characters had like European outfits. So there's Mickey and his, and then Donald and Daisy. Like all of the main characters, not the princesses, but like Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy, Goofy, Pluto, and Chip and Dale. They all had like European outfits that they were in, which I've never seen before.
Yeah, and neither have I.
Yeah. So I was like, I have to get pictures with all of them. I've never seen these outfits before. And we did have a pirate night with a deck party, but we did not have fireworks. And then kind of another weird thing is on Pirate Night, they had the frozen menu instead of the Pirate Night menu, but they didn't do a frozen night. Yeah, so it was interesting, which was fine. We actually didn't even eat in our main dining room because that was the day we went to Olden. And we were out like until like 5 p.m. and we had been out all day and we were tired. So we just got like the pool deck food that night. But
yes. Oh, I love that. And yeah, that's so funky that they didn't do the frozen menu. And for those who don't know, there are some sailings where you get like Alaska, where again, they're not doing fireworks, so they might do a frozen night instead. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that the pirate night happened. But either way, fun deck party, lots of fun. The theming, Disney doesn't miss on the theming. So I love that. And then what about debarkation? How is this process compared to what we're used to?
This was so smooth and easy. This was the first time we've done this. We decided to keep our luggage with us because we didn't want to try to be packing like at 10 p.m. the night before. We decided to just like express walk off the next morning. So we left our room about 8 a.m. and we were off the ship by 8:15. It was super fast. They didn't do customs or a passport check. You just got your luggage and walked out the doors. And then we just they had taxis lined up. We just grabbed the taxi to go to the train station. And we took a train from Southampton to Oxford. So we had an extra day. Disney recommends like for their flight times that you don't have a flight that leaves before 2 p.m. since it's such a long drive from Southampton to London. And there were not any flights back to the U.S. that I could find that were reasonably priced that left after 2 p.m. on that day that we debarked the ship. So we decided to stay an extra day in England. And we went to Oxford. So we did an Oxford University tour. And then they had like a Harry Potter filming spots tour. So those were two of the spots that they did Harry Potter scenes. And then at the end of the day, we went back to London and stayed at a hotel right next to the London airport.
I love that.
That's how we got home.
So easy. Okay, so taxi on the way back, and we know it seems like easier debark day, easier getting back home than it was. So great cherry on top of the trip. Love that. And I know we're a little bit over right now, but do you have some time for maybe some rapid fire questions? Mm-hmm. Okay. So are there any other excursions that were really popular or that were sold out? I don't know which ones to book.
Okay, so one of them that's super, super popular in Stavanger is Pulpit Rock. I was going to put a picture on here and I forgot to, but so it's basically like this huge cliffside. I mean, it's like a straight drop down, but the hike is pretty difficult. So I will say that. I think it takes about 2 hours and the elevation gain is quite a lot. So Disney has that as an excursion that you can choose. Or you can also do it by yourself, or you can even do it with another company if you want as well. So that's a super popular one, but I knew that my 6-year-old probably couldn't do that one. And it was raining that day. So I'm kind of glad we didn't try to do it anyway. But that one's super, super popular. If you've ever seen pictures of it, it's beautiful. Again, it looks fake. It's amazing. Awesome. And then I know in Olden, the Lowen Sky Lift and the Brickstall Glacier with the troll cars, that's definitely the most popular. And like I said, that was sold out through Disney by the time we booked. Okay. And then Alesund, that one, I think that town probably doesn't have quite as many like unique type port excursions. Like I feel like Olden and Stavanger had more unique. And then Alesund, that was the day we did like the little city tour in the train. And then we just did some shopping in the port.
So fun. Yeah. And that's a good reminder. You don't need to have an excursion at every single port. It's okay to just get off and explore and walk around, or to enjoy time on the ship too. And Jerry is asking, do you think this itinerary is one and done, or would you go back and do it again?
I would definitely do it again. And the other thing is they basically have 2 different Norwegian Fjords itineraries. So like ours stopped in these 3 ports, but they have another one that's still Norwegian Fjords, but it has different ports. So you could do the other one if you wanted to go back, or I would even do this one again. It was beautiful. It feels like it's so remote. You feel like you're at the end of the world. Like It's amazing.
That's awesome. Okay, let's see. Erin, this is a good question, and I feel like more and more. So you said that you booked a last minute rate. I've been looking at rates for next year, but I feel like there's more last minute deals coming out from Disney, like the one that released yesterday. Would you wait again or would you book it now?
So it's hard. It's hard to say because I think the reason this one had the guaranteed restricted rates is because school was already in session for so many kids. So it was kind of like a less desirable time of year for a lot of people. So I just took my kids out of school because I'm a rebel and don't care. But I think if it's a European sailing and it's like in the summer when kids are out of school, I would probably go ahead and book it now because I feel like it's less likely that they're going to have those super discounted rates when kids are out of school for the most part.
And I was going to say to Erin that, as things are coming out and being released, that's something Megan can help with is watching the deals. And, she's done it before where Disney's released something and then she retroactively goes in and applies the promo to her client reservation. So just have that in your back pocket too. And then where was it? Maggie's asking, were there actually Frozen characters on this cruise?
No. So even though the only Frozen thing that they had was like that Frozen menu at dinner one night, they had the Frozen show. I guess I forgot about that. So yes, one of the stage shows is Frozen, but in terms of like meet and greet, they don't have that for any of the Frozen characters. You're only going to find that on the Wish.
And I'll say, as much as we all love Frozen, you don't even miss it because there's so many other characters to meet and so much else to do. And then this question came up many times earlier. It's coming up now. If you had to choose between the Norwegian sailing or an Alaska sailing, what do you think? What would you do?
That's a tough one.
I know. I feel like maybe just do them both and have Megan and I come with you.
But honestly, for me personally, I think going to Europe is an amazing thing. Like even just the architecture, even if you weren't on a cruise, just the architecture, the way the houses are, the way it looks, you feel like you're in a fairy tale all the time when you're in Europe. Alaska's not really going to have that. I mean, it's going to be beautiful. Obviously, they've got the mountains, the wildlife. But I would probably pick this one, Norwegian Fjords. It is more expensive to get to Europe, though, too, in terms of flying there. So that's another thing you kind of got to think about. But it's tough. That's a tough question.
Yes, it is. But I feel like with the airlines and, all the different airlines have different loyalty programs and the credit cards. And I mean, if you time it right, you can get 100,000 points from a sign-up offer, you know, and put the piano lessons or put the new roof or something on that card and, just take care of it. So,
and so we use points to fly to Europe. And we've actually gone to Europe a lot lately because it has been cheaper to go to Europe on points than it is to go, for example, to go to Florida during Christmas. It's cheaper to fly to Europe than it is to go to Florida in Christmas or to go to the Caribbean. If you want to go to an all-inclusive or something like that over Christmas break, it's cheaper to go to Europe. So
sounds like we need to go to Europe. I'm in. I'm always in for Europe.
I mean, you're not going to have the warm weather, obviously, but and then you could go to Spain or Portugal or something like that, and it'd be perfectly nice. So,
oh my gosh,
that they don't have cruises during winter either, so that's kind of a trade-off. But
yes, I was gonna say there are those Adventure by Disney, I forget what they call. They're like Christmas market river cruises or something. So Megan will know more about that one than I ever will, but definitely reach out to her if you're interested in river cruising around the holidays because Adventure by Disney, top notch. Oh my gosh, Megan, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you got to do this bucket list vacation, and especially for a birthday too. On top of that,
I know.
Dream come true.
I was actually when I told my husband, I was like, I'm gonna book something. I don't know what it's gonna be yet, but I'm gonna book something. And then I saw this one that had come up on guaranteed restricted rates, and I was just kind of joking. And I was like, hey, they just have a Norwegian Fjords, and it leaves the day after my birthday. And I was expecting him to be like, haha, no way, or whatever. And he's like, well, how much are the flights to get there? And I was like, it's actually not bad. So
yes, and we have points, so it's basically free. Yes. Oh, I love that so much. That's the kind of negotiating you do. You're just like, it's my birthday and this is what's happening.
Right.
And it's the best negotiation of all. I love it. Especially as Virgos, we're headstrong when it comes to our vacation negotiating.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. Well, Megan, thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. And if you are ready to book your Disney cruise, whether it's Alaska, Europe, the Caribbean, please reach out to Megan. She is here to help you figure out all the details and figure out, what excursions are going to be best, what stateroom is best, everything that you need to have the best vacation so that you can just concern yourself with enjoying it, which I know is a crazy concept, right? Not stressing about vacation, but that is the link to her page on the DCL community site up on screen. And again, her planning services are free for you to utilize. So reach out and start planning. I feel like I need to. I'm like, do I need to go? I think I need to go.
You do need to go.
Gosh, let's go right now. Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Megan. We will see all y'all on board real soon. Bye, guys.